It's coming along.
Allahumma salli. So that should be good.
If you leave something for the signal.
Allahumma salli.
Obviously, I'm still trying to perfect everything, perfect the prayer, the wudu, the recitation, everything, slowly, bit by bit, even my foundational knowledge of Islam, which after this retreat is a lot stronger than it was before. SubhanAllah. This retreat has been amazing, this retreat has, or an absolute gift from Allah to go on this experience, honestly. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Caerphilly, South Wales. I converted to Islam the 25th of October 2019, just after the Jummah prayer at Durood Shareef in Cardiff, South Wales. Basically, I got to when I was doing my GCSEs in about year 10 or 11. So this is about 2011, 2012 when I left school. And we're in an RE lesson. And we're learning about, preparing for our exams. And they're teaching you about Christianity, Judaism, a little bit of Hinduism, and we literally had like one slideshow on Islam, I guess just as like a tick box exercise for the government, Anyway, so we're writing down off the screen, okay, so it's Islam, it's Abrahamic, strictly monotheistic, similar to Christianity and probably founded by Prophet Muhammad from Mecca, okay, and just went from there. So I went home, and I started Googling about Islam, I was like, oh, what's this about? I like to learn, So I started learning about Islamic history, culture, what's this black cube building, the Kaaba? What's this city, Mecca? What's Medina? What's this? What are these huge mosques? They're beautiful. I learned about the history and all about Islam, and I kept doing it. I eventually left school. One of my first jobs was working in a Sky call centre in South Cardiff. Very multicultural kind of place. First day on my training team, walk into the training room, and there's everyone there. And then in the corner, there's a Niqabi sister. And then as we're going through the training, I noticed that she's being sort of left out of the conversations. No one's really talking to her. So I made a point of getting her involved in the conversations and the training. And from there, she would sit next to me on the phones and in the training, and we just talk about Islam. I'd ask her about what's this, tell me more about the Prophet Muhammad, tell me more about Islam, and then she would ask me, tell me more about British culture, tell me more about why do you celebrate Christmas, what's Halloween, where does that come from, stuff like that. And we're just going about that. And then one day she goes to me, I can see you're really liking to learn about Islam. If I bring you in a Qur'an, would you read it? Yes, I would. So the next day she brings me in the Qur'an. I go home and I read it. And I'm reading it. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Oh, that's why I believe in that. That's where this comes from. And I'm reading it, and it's I'm beginning to like it even more, I start getting a feeling inside me. And it just keeps getting stronger, so I'm reading it. I'm sort of being convinced a little bit by it. I was like, okay, this is making a lot of sense. I didn't expect this to happen. Making a lot of sense. So, it seems like a good way of life. It makes sense to me. Start thinking, maybe it's the truth, Life gets in the way. I eventually leave that job. You know how life can be. Got my first girlfriend. Worked at other jobs. Life got in the way, and the Qur'an was just left on the shelf for a while. And then that relationship ended, and I was cleaning my room and I found the Qur'an on the top shelf and I started reading it again. Same things before, I started reading it again. It's all making sense to me. So there's like a natural draw. There's like a nice feeling inside me when I'm reading it. A pull towards it almost. And then I start asking my Muslim friends again more questions, and they eventually go to me, you need to go to a mosque, you need to meet an imam. So I go to a mosque. I'm absolutely terrified the first time. Truthfully, I was worried there would be like what you see in the media, really hardcore, really strict, really straight away, and they'd be like, you have to become Muslim, your family are evil, you have to convert them instantly, stuff like that. I was genuinely terrified. I was shaking as I was sitting in the car outside the mosque waiting to go in. eventually plucked up the courage to go in though. It wasn't like that when I went in. Everyone was so nice. The imam was so kind and nice. He was like, showed me around, like, this is the prayer niche. This is where he delivers the Friday sermon. These are the rows where everyone sits and stands and prostrates, you know, and bows. And I think we must have gone between Maghrib and Isha doing our chat. Because eventually brothers start piling in, you know, for I think the Isha prayer. And they're doing a double take when they see me. They must have thought I was from the council or something, checking the fire doors. It was not blocked, you know, something like that. And eventually they'll all just come up to me and they're all like, oh, pleasure to meet you, pleasure to meet you. They've only known me for like 10 seconds, already shaking my hand, you know. They're all just being nice, and it's nice energy and it's a nice atmosphere. Anyway, so it's time to pray. The imam goes, here's a folding chair, sit at the back and just watch this. And prayer starts. They bow, and then they go into prostration, and every single hair on my arms stood up. And that feeling I told you when I was reading the Qur'an, that come back for 1,000 times more intense. It's like a really loving feeling. I've never been able to fully describe it. Some people say they've had it as well, like other reverts who can sort of say they've had a similar thing. I can't fully describe that. And at this point, I'm pretty much convinced I need to become Muslim, but I'm still so a little bit scared, really. Silly of me. So I say I'm not ready just yet. And then I sent a message to Dawah Isra in Cardiff, saying I want to learn more about Islam. You know, find another mosque. You know, what's this mosque like? And I met Tan from the mosque. He answered all my questions. Poor guy. Like, I must have had like dozens and dozens of questions from him. Like, if I convert to Islam, what will I have to change about me straight away? Apart from obviously like the no drinking alcohol and the pork and stuff like that. That was already obvious, and I didn't really do that much stuff anyway of that, so that was easy. But you know, it's really silly questions like, am I gonna have to change my name? Am I gonna have to become circumcised tomorrow? You know, am I gonna have to like move out of the house? You know, stuff like that. Just very silly questions. He's like, no. He put me completely at ease, and then I started attending the mosque to go to the new Muslim meetings. Bismillah. They usually say leave the best to last. I don't know if that's going to apply right now. Yeah, of course. Hearing from Martin and Tan about what this weekend is, it's been that and more, honestly. I come here with the intention to learn a better foundation of my religion. Understand where I'm lacking and where I need to improve. And I've done that and more. Meeting all the brothers, like, as I keep saying, where I live, there's not many Muslims. There's not many at all. The majority are in this room right now, probably. So to meet a group of brothers like this, I don't know if you can hear my voice, I'm a bit emotional, but thank you to iERA and for all of you for your time, for running a course like this. And to everyone in this room, may Allah bless you, your families, and give your journey ease. And it's also give me an appreciation for my family, because obviously all our journeys are different. The hardships we've gone through since becoming Muslim, and how easy I've had it comparatively to some of you. SubhanAllah. So seeing other white people who've become Muslim, they're just like me, some a bit older, some more similar to my age, and they've all had similar experiences. And that convinced me even more. And on the 25th of October, 2019, just after the Jummah prayer, I took my shahada. I had been keeping from my mum that I wanted to be Muslim. I didn't tell anyone in the family. I kept it to myself, you know, because I knew it just wasn't going to be a good reaction, you know. Like, I didn't even know how I was going to eventually tell her. So I'm learning about Islam totally in secret. And then I become Muslim in secret for like 6 months. But it was very soon after I took my shahada, or thereabouts. I forget which day it was exactly. I must have been reading the Qur'an late at night, and instead of putting it like out of the way on top of the shelf, I just left it on my desk, thinking nothing of it. And the next morning, like 8:39 a.m., Saturday morning, whatever it was, I wake up to my mother screaming at me, like just like a banshee, screaming the house down. And I'm like, what's going on? I thought it was a fire or something, or, you know, some car crash, I don't know, outside. And I see Mum screaming at me, she's looking at me, and I'm like, what's going on? Then she runs out of the room, and I'm like, what's going on? Look around the room. There's the Qur'an on my desk, in plain sight. Quickly get dressed. I'm chasing after Mum around the house. You know, it's honestly, she's running from the kitchen to the front room, to the passage, back to the kitchen. I'm trying. It's like something like a cartoon. I'm trying to circle around the house. She's throwing stuff at me, throwing pillows at me, clothing. I eventually cornered her in the kitchen, grabbed her, and we sort of collapsed to the floor. The way they're crying on the floor together, and we were crying for a few minutes, and she just kept saying no, 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 no. And I kept saying, yes, I want to. I want to. I think it was after. I genuinely think it was after. It was a really close period, but I do think it was after the shahada.
Okay.
And she gets up and she sort of runs out of the kitchen. And I'm stunned. I didn't know what to do, so I sort of went upstairs. And I thought, okay, just get out of the situation for a minute. She comes upstairs. No, you're not. No, you're not doing it. You're not becoming like them. People hate you. Why are you turning your back on us? Who's done this to you? You know, that's one of the first things she said to me. Who's done this to you? I was like, nobody's done this to me. I've looked into this myself. No one's converted me. No one's brainwashed me. No one's sending me to Syria. None of that. I've read the Qur'an and it speaks to me and I know it to be the truth. And she's like, no, not in this house. Not my son. And I started talking to her like, I'm a grown man, you know. I'm an adult, it's my life, you know. I got to do this for myself. And she goes away. And a couple of hours later, we started speaking again. She's like, I can't stop you. I don't approve of it, but I can't stop you. It's your life and you have to do and live as you want. You'll always be my son. I don't approve of this, but you'll always be my son. But she then goes to me, you have to wait 6 months, probably hoping I'd fall off the idea, you know. Obviously that didn't work. I believe I was a Muslim at that point. I was really close to that date. Yeah, I took my shahada. I was already Muslim for 6 months and I felt so much guilt, honestly, about living a double life of like, oh, I'm going to go see a friend, I'm going to the mosque, you know. Oh, I'm going to go McDonald's or something, I'll be back later, I might see a friend. I'm at the new Muslim meetings in Cardiff for a couple months. Eventually the 6 months expires and it was January of 2020 and I go to it and I was like, 6 months is up, I still want to do it. And she goes, okay, you're your own man, you got to live how you want. Let's just do it to get it over with because you're breaking my heart. Okay. So she made me take my brother-in-law to Durood Mosque, and I'd arranged for a couple of the brothers to take a shahada with me again in front of my brother-in-law. We go and do that, and I've been Muslim ever since, really. Everyone was a bit shocked because I remember I told everyone at a family party. I finally plucked up the courage to tell everyone I was Muslim at this time because it was at the family. It was an engagement, I think, and I'm not drinking, you know, because everyone's around the tables drinking. Oh, you know, have a beer. You know, do you want a drink? Do you want a glass of wine? I'm like, no. I'm fine. Have some food. I was like, no, I'm fine, because none of it was halal and none of it was like vegetarian either, you know. So no, I'm fine. I'll just have a can of Coke. Anyway, I eventually pluck up the courage and I go around seat to seat. I'm like, I tell my sister I want to become Muslim. Okay, fair enough. I didn't expect you to say that. I was like, okay, that wasn't the right action I wanted. So then I go to the next sibling. So my brother. Think about becoming Muslim. Yeah, we heard, you do you, whatever you want. I'm like, okay. And I start going to all the family members, and they're like, yeah, if that's the way you want to live, that's fine. You know, you got to live how you want. You know, just be a nice person. You know, don't turn hardcore and just say we're like disbelievers every day, every time you see us, and we're going to hellfires. You know, you say that to us as soon as we wake up. You know, obviously I was never going to do that. But honestly, apart from Mum, who initially didn't take it well, all my family's been fine with it. You know, everyone. It's quite funny. Like, I'm still living at home. Like, she bought me a thobe for Christmas and some prayer beads, tasbih, and some stuff like that. And we had a halal turkey for Christmas dinner, so I can, you know, I can join in and make sure. She's like, I want to make sure you're eating. You know, she's like, in Caerphilly, can I get anything? I'm like, no, I have to go get it from Cardiff. You know, all the halal food stuff like that, and meat. I think it's been just slowly over time, seeing me just asking me questions about like, what's this and that. Like, not that she wants to become Muslim herself, but I think she's just trying to figure out what it is and why I've done it. Like, what was the appeal? And sort of like, slowly, I'm bringing down the barriers and the misconceptions. Because like, she's actually been looking into like, well, this is what Muslims do themselves. Not, like I said, not that she would convert herself. Well, Allah guides who He wills. But I do think it has been beneficial for the family, because I got siblings asking me questions, trying to clarify some issues. And if I haven't got a question, I'll ask a brother who knows, or find an authentic source for this sort of question. And well, inshallah, I hope I've, at least in my family, have demystified Islam and showed its beauty. You know? When it says the truth, I read the Qur'an, it appealed to me. It makes sense, the way of life. Like, there's no drinking. You know, it's a simple way of life. There's no what we would call haram in it. There's none of that has a chance to happen because of the way the Qur'an and the Sunnah is set out in Islam. You know? Like, I'm adopted. I was adopted by this family when I was 6 months old. I come from a very broken home. Both my biological parents had, by the sounds of it, a lot of promise in life. Drink and drugs destroyed that. I was born, when I looked at my medical records, with like fetal alcohol syndrome. I think I was born early as well. So my birth mother abused drugs when she was pregnant with me. So I don't know if it's the fact that I'm adopted, her adopted son is maybe a bit more difficult on her, if that makes sense. Maybe that's like an extra layer to the hardness of the road, you know. Absolutely, yes, I do.
Okay.
I, in hindsight, wish I'd like obviously done my research thoroughly, as any person should. Obviously, when you know Islam is the truth, then you know it's the truth. But always do your research, find authentic, correct sources. You know, whether it be like websites, sheikhs, learned scholars online, stuff like that. So you get the true, correct Islam, the authentic Islam. And you get the authentic Sunnah as well. So you don't get into like the sort of extremism aspect, which I know a lot of reverts do. There's the joke that the reverts are always the most hardcore. But do your research, and honestly, when you're convinced, take your shahada. Learn the basics of your religion. Don't get lost in the other details of like the dress and the clothing. Just learn the basics. Learn the authentic basics. That's all you need to begin with. You don't have to change your name unless you want to. You don't have to change how you dress, as long as it's modest, of course, especially when in the mosque. You know? Just be a perfected you, as Allah wants.
Every year, you blow me away, boys. Like, I sit there on the first day thinking, oh, what to expect, who's going to walk through the door. And you see you guys come in as these, like Magnus said, you're scared. You don't, like, when I was an attendee, I was scared. Tanvir convinced me to come. I almost backed out the day before because I was like, nah, I don't want to do this. Alhamdulillah, best thing I ever did in my life. And that was the catalyst that made me want to be the volunteer, because I want you boys to get exactly that experience. And I would ask you to push this retreat to all your Muslim friends, Revert Muslim friends. And if you follow iERA on social media, repost their tweets when it's out, because inshallah you'll get some of the rewards for the people who come on your behalf. Like Tyler said, there was a brother from last year, so inshallah he's benefiting off stuff you've learnt. And I just hope that this has given you the foundations you need to push forward and become that better Muslim. And yeah, you... Is that time already? Yeah.